belonged to me, so he divided his property between them. A few days later, the younger son gathered all he had and traveled to a distant country, and there he squandered his property in dissolute living. When he had spent everything, a severe famine took place throughout that country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to one of the citizens of that country, who sent him to his fields to feed the pigs. He would have gladly have filled himself with the pods that the pigs were eating, and no one gave him anything. But when he came to himself, he said, "How many of my father's hired hands have bread enough and to spare, but here I am, dying of hunger." We'll conclude our reading at this point, the book of Luke, chapter 15, verse.
The following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability, which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Hello, this is Elizabeth Ortel, and for the next half hour, I'll be reading from the December 3rd issue of the Challenger Community News on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Beginning with our first article from the front page, Raising Domestic Violence Awareness, Our Commitment Must Continue. Although National Domestic Violence Awareness Month has come to a close, our community continues to reflect on that powerful and inspiring month of awareness, education, and unity. This year marked the third annual Shine the Light Domestic Violence Awareness event, held at the beginning of October, an unforgettable day where survivors, advocates, and local organizations gathered at MLK Park to share resources, stories of resilience, and a collective message of hope and healing. Among those who participated was Rosalind Collins, mentor, coach, Dr. Vanessa Dunn Guyton from South Carolina, who has partnered with us for the past 3 years. Also, the Buffalo chapter of the Association of Black Social Workers, and Tiffany White. Ms. White, who was instrumental in our End Domestic Violence Walk. Ms. White also served as a guest speaker and recently launched her own organization, Alabaster House. In addition, we held our Shine the Light Domestic Violence Volunteer Appreciation Dinner on November 7th. It's crucial to remember that domestic violence does not end when the calendar turns. Every day, individuals and families in our community face abuse in silence, and they need our continued compassion, awareness, and action. We must remain committed to breaking the cycle by supporting survivors, educating others, and promoting safe and healthy relationships year-round. If you or someone you know need help, please reach out by calling Crisis Services at 716-834-3131. Also, Family Justice Center, 716-558-7233. Together, we can create a community where every survivor feels seen, supported, and safe, not just in October, but every single day. From the most popular section of articles in the Challenger, the 33rd Annual Buffalo Inner City Sport Legends Awards did return on November 26th. The Buffalo Inner City Sport Legends is proud to announce its 2025 awardees for its awards night that occurred on November 26th. That year's location was moved from Rose Bar to the George F. Lamb Post at 962 Worley Drive in Cheektowaga. The group has been in existence since 1991 and was formed by Richard Clark, Zelly Dow, Lum Smith, Gilbert Hargrave, and Leroy C. Johnson. Our mission is to recognize athletes past and present who have excelled in sports and brought recognition to our community, stated Leroy. This year's Lifetime Achievement Award goes to the Buffalo Criterion, and the Legacy Award goes to Curtis Cannon. Past awardees include Bob Lanier, Jim Horn, Harvey Austin, Ricky and Jimmy Williams, and Ricky McCarley. All are invited and would be able to attend our Buffalo Inner City Sports Legends. The 20 to 25 awardees include Charles Chaplin, Corellis Butch Barber III, Moses Tolbert, Keith Kirkland, Hezekiah Williams, Malik Campbell, Tiffany Walton, Damone Brown, Garcia Leonard, Denise Montgomery, Jeffrey Macklin, Kevin Spittler, Don Patterson, Andrew Terranova, John Shelton, Morris Goodlow, Dion Turnage, Willard Anderson, and Edward Parson. The 7th Annual Anti-Displacement Summit. The Anti-Displacement Summit is an annual educational event hosted by our city, Buffalo, and community partners to discuss and organize around issues such as gentrification, affordable housing shortages, and other forces that displace long-term residents. Join us for the Anti-Displacement Summit on Saturday, December 6th, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Delavan Grider Community Center to learn how OCAB is taking local action against rising fascism. The day will feature workshops on immigration, housing, national and local oligarchy power research, the Buffalo Charter Revision Commission, education, and more. Anti-displacement workshops include tools for democratizing your workplace. The City Charter, 2-part series. Part 1, what is it, how does it work, and why does it matter? Part 2, revising the City Charter. ICE and community defense, cultivating indigenous solidarity from Turtle Island to Palestine, the real work of Parent Congress, how to build united advocacy that truly changes outcomes. Zine making workshop with Jordan Lee of Heartburn. The Fight to Stay, a guide to understanding tenant rights and good cause eviction. Who Rules Buffalo? An intro to power research and book launch. Rise Up Buffalo, building power through community defense. East Side Parkways Coalition. The day begins at 10 to 10:30 for check-in, light breakfast, and childcare, and continues through 3 p.m. Are Buffalo Public Schools still suspending too many students? During National Week of Action recently, families and advocates launched a call to end school pushout in Buffalo Public Schools. Families, youth, and advocates gathered on the steps of City Hall in October to demand urgent reforms to school discipline practices in Buffalo Public Schools, BPS, as part of the National Week of Action Against School Pushout. At the press conference, speakers presented solutions to reduce suspensions and advance practices that keep students in school and on track to succeed. Also supporting the effort was the Erie County Restorative Justice Coalition, Buffalo Parent Teacher Organization, Special Education Parent Advisory Committee, and Most Valuable Parents. Suspensions in Buffalo, a crisis with lasting impact. Buffalo Public Schools remain one of the highest suspending districts in New York State. According to the district's own data, the 24-25 school year saw 6,000 91 short-term suspensions, and 1,003 long-term suspensions. Students of color, students with disabilities, and low-income students are suspended at 2.5 times the rate of their peers, resulting in long-term negative outcomes, including increased risk of incarceration, lower educational attainment, and higher rates of poverty. Advocates point to the 2010 suspension of Buffalo student Juwan Daniels, who was suspended for roaming the halls and fatally shot on his way home, as a tragic catalyst for reform efforts that persist today. A call for solutions. We know that we can address root causes of behavior and replace a punitive system of discipline that pushes students out of school with a restorative system of accountability, said Jessica Bauer Walker, BPS parent and co-chair of the Community Health Worker Parent and Student Association. We can help children get the support they need to make good choices for their learning, their relationships, and their lives. The Buffalo and New York State Solutions Not Suspensions Coalition is urging Buffalo Public Schools and state leaders to adopt evidence-based common sense reforms, including eliminating suspensions for grades pre-K to 3, capping suspensions at 20 days, ending suspensions for vague or subjective infractions, guaranteeing students access to meaningful alternative instruction during suspensions. These recommendations are consistent with findings from the New York State Education Department Safe Schools Task Force. Community-led momentum. We have the solutions. What we need now is the will to implement them, said community advocate Sam Radford. Our children deserve safe, supportive, and restorative schools, not punishment that pushes them out of opportunity. The National Week of Action is a nationwide effort to raise awareness of harmful disciplinary practices and advocate for equitable, restorative solutions that keep students in school and support their long-term success. Mayor-elect Ryan assembles experienced transition team, names Trini Ross and Dr. Marie Cannon co-chairs. Over 500 job applications received in just 5 days of launching transition website. Buffalo Mayor-elect Sean Ryan has assembled a transition team of policy experts and community leaders to identify the most qualified candidates to serve in his administration. The group reflects the diversity of Buffalo, including community leaders from the business, labor, and nonprofit sectors. The transition team has been tasked with conducting a broad national search while also recruiting top local talent for Ryan's administration. He appointed 2 co-chairs to lead the transition team: Trini Ross, former U.S. Attorney for the Western District of New York, and Dr. Marie Cannon, President and Chief Executive Officer of Community Action Organization of Western New York. In addition, John Maggiore, a Buffalo native with over 30 years of government experience, to serve as Executive Director for the transition, overseeing all aspects of the process. More than 500 job applications in just 5 days were received in response to more than 90 jobs that have been posted from the city's BuildBetterBuffalo.com, including postings for each of the city's commissioners and many other senior level positions. Existing employees whose jobs will be posted are eligible to reapply for their positions or others. The response has been overwhelming and inspiring, Ross said. It's clear that people across Western New York are ready to roll up their sleeves and contribute their talents to a city government grounded in integrity, professionalism, and service. We've seen applicants from every neighborhood, background, and walk of life. People who believe in Buffalo and want to be part of something bigger, Cannon said. It's exactly the kind of community energy and collaboration that will help this administration succeed. Mayor-elect Ryan is focused on putting together an all-star team to build a brighter future for the city of Buffalo, Maggiore said. If you are interested in being a part of the new administration, send your application in today. Mayor-elect Sean Ryan's transition team also includes Community Enrichment Committee. Dr. Barbara Seals Nevergold, Vice Chair, Ba Zan Lin, Melissa Brown, Ray Gano, Reverend Dr. Dennis Lee, Melissa Leonard, Dr. Henry Lewis Taylor, Yuki Numata Resnick, David Rust. For the Emergency Services Subcommittee, Joseph Gramalia and Charlie Torres, co-vice chairs, Ron Barrett, Donna Berry, Pat Cray, Reverend James Giles, Reverend Dr. James Lewis III, Steve Kiohane, Brian Ross, Mike Swankamp. For the Finance Committee, Ten Crilly, Vice Chair, Donna Estrish, Eva Hassett, Lavanya Lester, Jim Milroy, Chiwayuki Uwanwane, Janet Penska, Tracy Woodrow. You are listening to a reading of articles and features from The Challenger on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. The Law Committee for Mayor-elect Sean Ryan's transition team consists of Jeremy Toth, Vice Chair, Lauren Breen, Deanna Eason, Nathan Feist, Sam McGavern, Honorable Robert T. Russell Jr., Nazmus Sakib, Karen Welsh. Planning, Permits, and Parking Subcommittee, Jesse Fisher, Vice Chair, Brandy Barrett, Paul Simonelli, Chris Durr, Brenda McDuffie, Reverend George Nicholas, Christina Orsi, Melvin Taylor, Rocco Termini, Kayla Zemsky, Steve Zenger. Public Works Park Subcommittee, Bill Gary, Vice Chair, Yomo Okono, Jody Battaglia, Paul Brown, Betsy Constantine, Katie Campus, Michael Galliganon, Tim Romarchik, and Noemi Waite. Worker Relations, Debbie Hayes, Vice Chair, Denise Abbott, Brian Bray, Maurice Brown, Dr. Jacqueline Hall, Jim Jarvis, Jim Lakin, Robert Mutri, Louisa Pacheco, and Joss Pinnell. We're shutting it down. This occurred. The blackout system launches its second wave economic blackout, which occurred from November 25th to December 2nd, urging participants to avoid work and shopping during those dates. Blackout the System has called for a nationwide boycott, urging participants to refrain from working or spending money from November 25th to December 2nd as a protest against a damaged government and economic system. In recent days, Blackout the System, a movement advocating unity across race, culture, and class, has been actively promoting the second wave economic blackout that occurred during those dates. Scheduled around the Thanksgiving holiday and extending through Black Friday and Cyber Monday, the initiative aimed to become the most significant economic blackout protest in U.S. history, demonstrating that real power belongs to the people, not corrupt governments, billionaires, or broken systems. The day one, no work, no shopping. We vanished from the system, an Instagram video says. We are the economy. Without us, nothing moves. We pulled our money. They can't buy our silence. During the blackout, participants were urged to avoid working, shopping, and spending money throughout the week-long protest. The boycott coincided with the current federal government shutdown, which will suspend the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, starting November 1st, making the second largest shutdown in U.S. history after the record set during Donald Trump's first term. Blackout the System's boycott announcement came alongside the People's Union USA, a consumer activist movement that called for an October boycott of 6 major brands: Amazon, Walmart, Starbucks, Disney, Target, and Ben & Jerry's. This boycott continues a strategy the group has pursued since February, aimed at promoting corporate accountability, strengthening diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) initiatives, and curbing corporate influence over U.S. economic policy. Join the Michigan Street African American Christmas in the Corridor for some soulful holiday cheer and celebrations. The annual Christmas tree lighting at the Michigan Street Baptist Church is on Thursday, December 4th from 6 to 8 p.m. Christmas carols, snacks, entertainments, and more. Free. Soulful Christmas, Saturday, December 6th in the Heritage Corridor. Kente Kloss, gifts, live music, toy giveaway, vendors markets, performances, and more. From 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. It's free admission. Soul Ball, Saturday, December 13th from 6 to 10 p.m. Adult night out, dinner, dancing. A Personal Plea for Jamaica by Leighton Jones. Dear friends, community members, and allies. I don't ask for much, but today I am asking from the deepest part of my heart. Jamaica, my home, my foundation, my first love, has been devastated by Hurricane Melissa. The destruction across Montego Bay and St. Elizabeth, the 2 places that raised me, is unlike anything I have ever seen. Homes are flattened. Entire communities built from board houses have been erased. Families are left without food, without shelter, without employment, and without clarity about what tomorrow will look like. A pain that hits home. I was born at Cornwall Hospital in Montego Bay and raised in the small community of Granville. Seeing the trees stripped bare and the neighborhoods I grew up in unrecognizable has shaken me to my core. Worse, the silence from my family members in St. Elizabeth has been unbearable. Days passed where I could not reach my mother or father. Both hotels where my sister and cousin worked were destroyed. My sister stayed at her hotel for safety, only to return home and find that it had been blown away. Now she is unemployed, displaced, and trying to piece together a life that no longer exists. My mother's school contacted me the morning after the storm, asking if I'd heard from her. That message brought me to my knees. I've already lost a sister to violence. The thought of losing more family is a weight I cannot put into words. Why we are asking directly. Although aid is arriving in Jamaica, it is not reaching many of the families in the western parishes, the very places hit hardest. Too many people are still waiting, still suffering, still without basic necessities. That is why members of the Jamaican community in Buffalo, including Chanel from the Caribbean Arts and Culture Foundation and Nasima from Black in Buffalo, have come together with me to organize direct support. This effort ensures resources go straight into the hands of families we personally know, families who have lost everything and cannot afford to wait. Rebuilding isn't just about structures, it's about restoring dignity, rebuilding hope, and ensuring families can survive the coming months. Your contribution will help with emergency food and clean water, rebuilding homes and roofs, replacing lost items after mass layoffs, supporting children returning to school, direct aid to families in Montego Bay, St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, St. James, and Trelawney. And remember, giving doesn't only look like money. We will be collecting physical donations and contact information from supporters at the Anti-Displacement Summit that I talked about earlier in this broadcast on December 6th at the Delavan Grider Community Center. Bring what you can. Supplies, clothing, hygiene products, school materials. Every single item matters. If you can, please see us during the Anti-Displacement Summit on Saturday, December 6th. Providence Farm Collective Deputy Director Hamadi Ali, elected to Erie County Farm Bureau Board. Providence Farm Collective, PFC, is proud to announce that Deputy Director Hamad Ali has been elected to serve on the board of the Erie County Farm Bureau. In this role, Ali will bring the perspectives of refugee, immigrant, and other under-resourced farmers into county-level conversations shaping agriculture across Erie County and New York State. As a voting member, I hope to advocate for Providence Farm Collective farmers and connect refugee and immigrant farmers to the larger farming population in the United States. Farming comes in many different forms, and those of us who don't fit the conventional definition are generally left without a voice. I'm honored to be voted on as a board member to advocate for all farmers to realize a farming system that works for all of us, said Hamad Ali, Deputy Director at Providence Farm Collective. The Erie County Farm Bureau is part of the New York State Farm Bureau. About the Providence Farm Collective. The collective, located in Orchard Park, supports Black, immigrant, refugee, and low-income farmers in western New York who cannot otherwise access farmland. The farmers grow fresh, nutritious produce with cultural significance for their families and communities. The collective has its roots in the Somali Bantu Community Farm. In 2020, 7 other unique Black and New American communities joined the Somali Bantu to come together as a collective. In its inaugural year, Providence's 275 farmers grew and harvested 23,000 pounds of organically grown traditional produce for Erie and Niagara County residents. This new collective is the only regional nonprofit farm program offering hands-on mentorship and secure land to underserved farmers. The benefits, farmers say, have been tremendous, from getting fresh vegetables and earning money to the health benefits so important for their community, to teaching teens their traditions and culture, which is very important to their parents and grandparents. You've been listening to a reading of articles and features from the December 1st issue of The Challenger. Your reader has been Elizabeth Ortel. Thank you for listening.
Coming up next in the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have a reading of the Batavia Daily News. Following that at 10 o'clock is the East Aurora Advertiser, and at 11 we have the Niagara Gazette. Stay with us for these readings and more throughout the day. You're listening to the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Our volunteer radio readers broadcast daily readings of printed matter to our listeners who are blind or have a print disability throughout Western New York and Southern Ontario's Niagara Peninsula. The Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service has brought nearly 40 years and more than 300,000 hours of radio readings to those without sight. Our broadcast signal is provided at no charge by WNED. For more information, call us at 716-821-5555. The following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Hello, this is Bruce, and for the next hour I'll be reading from the Thursday, December 4th, 2025 issue of the Batavia Daily News on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. One of the top stories with a big picture of a building on fire is Night Fire in Batavia. Flames and smoke ravage Pike Road residents. Article by Brian Quinn. Investigation continued Wednesday into a 3-alarm blaze which gutted a house at 3589 Pike Road. Intense flames moved quickly through the structure with the